Hi, this is David speaking. I want to talk about when we're about to maybe go to a party, go to a big event, maybe a mingle, maybe we need to do a presentation, and we get all these visions in our head about what could go wrong, and we get super nervous, super anxious, maybe to the point of not even going to the place. I've obviously suffered from this a lot myself, and I tried different ways to try to defeat these feelings and try to get away from it. So one thing I tried, for example, was affirmations. So I told myself that you are confident, you can do it, you are confident, you can do it. But it just didn't work. It was like I had this feeling or this voice in my head telling me that, no, what you're saying is not true, you are nervous. And this has been shown in studies as well, that affirmations only really work if you're already pretty confident. If you're not confident to have like great self-esteem, you will just have a voice in your body reminding you that the reality is the opposite, and then you feel worse. So for people who need affirmations the most, for those it actually can make them more nervous. Good news are that I was happy. I came into this world of behavioral science, and I learned that there are extremely effective methods to rewire our brain. Because here's what we need to understand. When we're about to do something scary, we have a function, a pre-programming of how we work, where what the brain does is to always paint the worst case scenario, whatever's going to happen. Throughout human evolution, that has been an extremely good, effective method of not getting killed. Because if you're interacting with other people, you're always having in the back of the head, what's the worst thing that can happen? Well, maybe they kill me, or maybe I fail, maybe I get excluded from the group, all of which things are terrible. So that's why we have this function in our brain. Now, here's what behavioral scientists have figured out. There's a way to reprogram our brain so that instead of having the worst case scenario playing, we can have the most realistic scenario playing. So that's an important distinction. We don't want to have the most optimistic scenario playing. That would be naive. We don't want to have the worst case scenario playing. That is too negative, or that is pessimistic. What's good news for us who live in the 21st century is that the things today aren't physically harmful anymore that we're afraid of, at least not the social interactions. So if we learn to use the most realistic view instead of the worst case scenario, then we become extremely powerful in being able to do things we normally wouldn't dare to do. Okay, so are you ready to reprogram? Okay, good. So whenever you are about to go to this party, for example, you probably have a voice in your head, or you have an entire vision in front of you. So I, for example, had this vision. If I had to go out with friends, I saw in front of my eyes how I would stand awkwardly there. I wouldn't talk to anyone, no one would talk to me. I would make a fool out of myself. I would say something weird that people would think I was the weirdest person ever to say, and I would just massively mess up. Now, that is the worst case scenario. That is what your brain so promptly gives you to keep you away from danger. But what we want to do is to, whenever we have these, I call them worst case scenario visions. Whenever you have a worst case scenario vision, I want you to consciously go in and say, all right, stop it here, subconscious brain. I know that you're subconsciously feeding me these videos. Now we're going to do it in a realistic way instead. So what I did was that I replayed the scenario from the most realistic perspective. And even if I would mess up, the most realistic scenario would be that, say that I said told a joke that didn't turn out well. Well, maybe people wouldn't laugh, and then someone would start talking about something else, and then the party would continue and no one would think about it. Or if I would end up by myself, yeah, well, then I would be by myself for a while, and I would stand there, and I would be fine doing that. And maybe after a while I would start talking to someone would start talking to me. Maybe my voice would start shaking a little bit, and I could think back to, well, yeah, sometimes it started shaking a little bit. What happened before in similar situations? Well, it shaked a little bit, then it stopped. So whenever the worst case scenario vision comes up, we play the realistic scenario instead. And this is what happens. After a while, when we start doing that, the new realistic scenario starts taking over. And this is what neuroscientists call the plasticity of the brain. When we teach our brain to do something new, it rewires. And even though we have genetic wiring, we can rewire that genetic wiring and make the brain basically to whatever we want to do it. Neuroplasticity or brain plasticity is an amazing phenomenon, and here we're using it to our advantage, where we can actually rewire ourselves and see things more realistically. Because when we play this realistic scenario, the event or the party or the presentation suddenly becomes less scary. Because as it turns out, we were never really afraid for doing whatever we were going to do. We were just scared of the scenario that played in our head. When we change the scenario, we become less scared. And when we're less scared, we're free to do whatever we want. So what I want you to do the next time you have this scenario, this scary scenario playing in your head, rewind and play the most realistic scenario. If you don't know what the realistic scenario is, think back to the last party or the last presentation. That's probably the most realistic thing to happen again. And it was probably not at all as scary as your worst case scenario. Alright, if you like this video, I have a free training on the link below where I talk much more about these kinds of stuff. If you like this video, you will love that training. And also hit like, hit subscribe. And if you have any questions, make sure to comment below. I reply to as many comments as I can. Okay, I see you in the next one.